Okay, we're online. Hope everyone can hear me. I have to 1 second here. Give us about 5 minutes or so, and we will start the broadcast. So, if anybody wants to post a question, please do so in the chat window. The chat window is either to your bottom or to your right of your screen in YouTube. And we're gonna have be live in a few minutes, and we're going to announce the guest that we're having on today, special guest. But before, we're going to have a few announcements. So we're just gonna just bear with us for a few more minutes, and then we will start. Okay, I guess we will start right now with a few announcements. First, we are going to just have a minute of silence for all the non-humans, animals, the other animals that we share this earth with, nature, Mother Earth. We're going to have a minute of silence for all of them.
Hello.
So, hello. So, about a minute of silence before we start. Again, for all the animals and all the
Okay.
humans and everyone who is and was killed. All the factory
Oh
farms,
gosh.
all the animals in backyards that are being chopped to pieces. Let's give pray. Let's pray to them. Okay. So we're going to start with a few announcements before and then right after we are going to get on with our guest right away. So thank you for joining me so much. This is Michael Landfield at weareinterconnected.com. I'm an author of many books, including How to Create the Perfect Vegan Life, because vegans need to create the perfect vegan life. So, a few announcements. First of all, this book is available as a paperback now, so you can get that on Amazon and throughout the world. Just check out weareinterconnected.com for all the books there. I also have a free newsletter you can join at weareinterconnected.com/newsletter, where you can get the unique, interactive, free short ebook called The Guru's Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment. And that is a free short ebook, so you can get that there. And the best news is that the third book in the series of the interconnectedness of life. So it was interconnectedness of life, and then the second book, the lost love, and now my third book in the sequel in the trilogy, which is our path to freedom, how we can live freer and more peaceful life. So get that. It's pre-order Kindle on Amazon. So get that on Amazon, or again, go to weareinterconnected.com. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And if you have any questions, we will definitely take questions afterwards. But anyone will be able to see this at any time because it'll be uploaded to YouTube. Once again, thank you for joining us here. We have Eleni Kaiser on the uh, on the other end, and I'm just going to announce her. So Eleni Kaiser is a Joburg-based raw vegan recipe creator, author, speaker, and process to plant-based advocate, which we will talk more about today. She consults with clients from all over the world to assist in their transformation to a vegan plant-based lifestyle with a 1,500 strong vegan women SA group on Facebook. Eleni has 3 Amazon published ebooks, very good, as well as raw vegan recipes, pantry makeover tips, and natural beauty articles published in magazines such as Fitness Mag. Eleni was recently featured on the Daily show on South Africa's local TV station SABC1, where she discussed veganism to over 100,000 viewers. Wow, that's impressive. Working on her new book, Process to Plant Based, Eleni plans to travel to the States and Europe upon being published. So if you want to know more about her, we will link it all in the description, elenikaiser.com. And without further ado, here is Eleni. Thank you, Eleni, for being on the show.
Thanks, Michael. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I hope you can hear me because the reception is pretty low here in Joburg, South Africa.
Don't worry, it's always low on my computer.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about you, about how you transitioned to veganism, and the second part is what is processed to plant-based. So tell us those two.
Okay. When I was a teenager, I kind of growing up in a South African family, we were kind of forced to eat what's on your plate. And what entailed that was obviously having meat on your plate. And I really disliked the taste of meat. And I remember once seeing, a whole truck full of sheep going to the slaughterhouse. And when I made connection, my eyes connected to one of the sheep, and I just realized that, where this being is actually going, it evoked kind of like emotions in me that made me go vegetarian when I moved out of my mom's house, which I was 19. That was 1999, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I had no idea that there was anything beyond that was better, like veganism at all. And then only when I moved to the UK had I met a vegan, which I moved into her house, renting a room from her. And the one day she said to me, I came home from shopping, and I had my bags of shopping with me with eggs and milk in. And she just looked at it, and she just, threw the eggs down the passage and said, "You can follow suit." And I had no idea what she was talking about. And just, telling her, like, I don't understand. Can you tell me what you're on about? She sat me down and she just opened a whole can of worms to me, literally, like telling me, this is what it's about. Here are documentaries. Here's some pamphlets, some things, and, resources for you to read. And I remember that night I delved into it completely, and I was changed from there, completely understanding where my path had led me to veganism. So that's how I got into veganism. Completely, made total sense to me.
So your mother transitioned you, or your mother got you interested in veganism, basically?
No, it was a lady I lived with in London.
Oh, a lady. I see.
Yes. So
And
that was my
and tell
transition.
uh, and tell us a little bit about process to plant-based. What does that entail?
Okay, so processed plant-based is the next level. I call it the next level, where I want to show people that on a vegan diet, you can just be a normal human being, eating junk food, eating processed food, and still be a vegan. But how your body reacts living in that state, even though you've cut out all the animal products, you can still be unhealthy on a processed vegan diet. And then transitioning to a plant-based diet, a vegan plant-based diet, is definitely the next level where you're not just doing it for the animals, you're doing it for your health as well. So you're kind of living it in total essence of health and for the planet and the animals and all of that. So the book is basically going to be about my transition, where I'm at the moment, and what I do to cleanse and so forth to be on a plant-based lifestyle, vegan plant-based lifestyle.
I see. So where are you at now?
At the moment, I've always had a very bad relationship with food. So it's been a lifetime of yo-yoing between different diets and all of that. And the one true way of eating for me has been raw, 100% raw vegan. But even on this journey, I've had problems with my mind still, kind of trying to figure out where it all fits in my lifestyle in terms of business and family and all of those things. So I'm in the middle right now, where I'm kind of doing a cleanse at the moment, get back onto the raw, and then fully engage in it, because I now understand after doing a lot of research, the mucusless diets and all of that, combining it all together, and moving away from the processed vegan foods, which are very addictive.
I definitely feel the same way about eating raw and a lot of raw food, especially when it comes to fruit, because fruit is just so cleansing and it has so much of the vital things that we need that comes from nature. I feel though that over the years, I mean, I went raw for about a year, and then I went back to eating, eating everything vegan. And
Yeah,
so I feel that when it comes to me, that eventually I will definitely become, 100% raw, eating most of my calories coming from fruit. Some people say otherwise, need more greens, but you can't get enough. I don't think you can get enough calories just eating greens and vegetables. And a lot of vegetables that they talk about are actually fruit, like
yeah,
peppers and cucumbers and zucchinis, and even things like squashes and stuff are fruits. And
yeah.
so, tell us a little bit more, Eleni, about your your journey now, uh, being vegan for so many years and eating more whole foods raw.
Well, I kind of find that, when you decide to take a path, everything either opens up for you or stagnates. So you've got to open it up for yourself. So I'm at the point now where I'm making conscious decisions in terms of what I'm going to eat, who I'm engaging with, and the information I'm putting out there. So, in not just with my eating habits, like where I go has also played a big role. People kind of associate you with places you hang out, not just people. So right now, I find that I'm taking June as a cleansing month, a post-cleansing month, so that I can hit July, which is close to the end of our winter here in South Africa, so that I can hit July and start rebuilding the minerals in my body, because I'm so depleted because of all the junk food I've been eating, the vegan junk food, I might add, that I've been eating. So my body is very depleted and dehydrated, because of those foods. So right now, I'm at the point where veganism is kind of steadfast in my life. I've come from a place where I was educated. I first came from the heart, and then I came from a place of education. And now I've come to a place where I'm ready to kind of, spread the message to people who need to hear it, the truth, because I find South Africa is very far behind everybody else in the world. We're very far behind the States and Europe and so forth. So I've had the opportunity recently to, speak to thousands of people on TV, and we were a panel of vegans, new vegans, family vegans, and so forth. And I feel like I'm at the point now where my veganism the foundation is solid. Now it's about nutrition. So I've always been afraid to voice veganism out into South Africa because we're such a diverse cultural country. We've got Zulus, we've got Xhosas, we've got Afrikaans and English, we've got Indians. It's like a whole mix of cultures in one. So we're not talking. So let's say basically, if you're going to Europe, you're not talking to Italians. You're talking to 12 different languages in South Africa. So it's been very scary for me, but I feel at the moment, because of the solid vegan foundation, the next level is getting myself right, my image and my message solid, that I can, relay it to the audience of South Africa.
Aha, I see. And what is your view on, or what is your? Oh, I'm getting a feedback a little bit.
Hold on, say that again. Sorry.
So sorry about that. I was getting feedback. Still getting feedback for some reason, but getting feedback. But what is your definition or view on cleanse? What is your definition on cleansing, and your view on, again, on whole foods and raw?
Okay, on cleansing, I very much subscribe to the advice of a few people like Marcus Rothkranz. He's my number one go-to with cleansing. And then I like to read a lot of books on, or a lot of information and research that doctors like Garth Davis and Michael Greger put out, just to keep constant with it. But there's a lot of contradicting information out there. What works for me is water fasting for a few days, and then remineralizing my body with greens and obviously doing a parasite cleanse as well, which is really important, especially if you come from junk food. Even junk food can give you parasites, and people don't realize that. That's how you get addicted to cooked food, because of the parasites. So for me, doing a parasite cleanse on a water fast, and then rebuilding with a juice fast, a fruit juice fast, obviously, and then going back into raw. That for me is a full-on cleanse. And obviously a few days of dry fasting with that as well, which I find really difficult.
Yeah. So the way I see it, I'm just going to put a few of my words in here as well.
Yeah.
I feel that if there has to be a few points in your life, like you have to be, first of all, you have to be fully ready to want to embrace raw living, raw vegan living. And secondly, it has to, your body and your mind and your whole spiritual, self just has to be ready. And sometimes you feel like, oh, I want to be like 100% raw or whatever. Even though I don't even like using the percentages, but I want to be like this raw vegan. But sometimes it's just not the right time, and sometimes our journey takes us to places. I mean, I wanted to be raw vegan, eating as much fruit as I could back in 2011, and here I am, like, still kind of struggling. And it also depends a lot on the environment you live in, the city, the place you live in. If you live in a place where there's more abundance of different raw foods, and especially fresh raw food like produce, and not those powders and things that people claim are raw, or nuts that people claim are raw, because those are truly not raw. And then when we're eating other things that come from packages, and no matter what the label has on it, it may not be healthy. And a lot of times, unfortunately, when we go to the supermarket or somewhere, we have to bag everything, all our produce in bags, and we're, destroying the environment at the same time. But we do our best that we can, and one step at a time, until we get to that, stage. And we'll know when we get to that stage. So don't kill yourself for falling down a few times. Try to do your best. And what other tips do you have for people that want to, or thinking of going vegan or becoming raw?
Well, I'd say, it's actually extremely easy. People are very much narrow-minded, not in terms of, oh, I can't do this. They think, what am I going to eat and where am I going to go? But it's really, really easy. I've never ever had a problem going to a restaurant and saying, oh, could you please change this on this recipe, and instead of adding cheese, could you add avocado? And I've never had a problem. They've never said no to me. I've always had a vegan meal in every restaurant that I go to. So I would say tip number one is definitely speak up. Say something. No one's going to know about these things if you don't say something. If you go to the supermarket and you want to see your local supermarket have more vegan foods, tell them, I'd like to see more of this fruit. I'd like to see more of these veggies. We've got in Cape Town, we've got our very first, what do you call it? It's plastic-free, baggage-free, or package-free shopping a little, a supermarket. And so you can actually go in and weigh your food in your, reusable bag and go home. So you don't have to use bags or any of that. So I think people need to, open their mouths and say, hey, instead of using these plastic bags, get us some, reusable bags or whatever. But in South Africa, we're very lucky because we've got a wide variety of fresh fruits. and vegetables. We call, obviously, vegetables, as you just said, a lot of them are actually fruit because they're, born from flowers. So we are very lucky. So I would say if people can eat in season, it's so much easier here in South Africa for them to stick to a raw, even a raw diet. If they want to go raw, stick to the season. Grow your own food. It's so easy to grow it here in South Africa. We have no restrictions. We've got a lot of land. We've got a lot of huge gardens where we live, and it's very easy for us to grow our own food. So, and if people want to go vegan, everyone always says read the labels, but I would say stick to nature. Then you're definitely vegan. Stick to what grows from the ground. Then you've got no problem. But I mentioned that we're far behind all the other countries as South Africa. I mean, when I came back in 2012 from the UK.
Sorry, what do you mean by far behind?
In terms of our vegan restaurants, our labeling, and our food product labeling, and people waking up to like, oh, this is veganism. So when I came back from the UK in 2012, I was part of a handful of vegans, and now we've got thousands of vegans across South Africa, and people are actually asking more questions. We've got Cube of Truth, Anonymous for the Voices, and that's happening every week, which is amazing. So now people don't have an excuse. People can ask questions. Ask someone that you know is a vegan. Tell me more. Not every vegan is going to bash you and go, oh, you're a meat eater or whatever. There are lots of vegans who love informing. So, and with all of that, South Africa growing in veganism, we've got shopping, we've got big corporate companies, like we've got Woolworths and Pick n Pay and all of that, who are actually labeling all their food now, vegan or vegetarian with milk or vegan raw or whatever. So we're very lucky to actually have this growing now. So actually, yes. So in terms of tips, definitely eat within season and check your labels and ask another vegan, ask a vegan, and join Vegan Society. On Facebook, we've got an amazing group. We've even got groups specifically for different types of vegan living, raw or cooked or, eating vegan processed meats and stuff like that, which obviously I don't advocate because it's made me quite ill. In the past, when I was a junk food vegan, heavily junk food vegan, I had terrible stomach problems and, bumps and lumps and things everywhere, and it was just it's all because of the the processed vegan
food. I see, and probably now or at another time you're gonna find maybe that somebody, and I know a lot of people, including myself, at times where vegans feel lonely and they don't feel like they feel like an outcast because they're the only ones in their family or wherever they're living. They're the only ones that they know that are vegan. And like, for example, myself, I'm living in a small village now, um, and I find that like nobody here is vegan, and it's like really hard. Even though the people here are very open to it, they're not themselves. And so, do you have any tips for maybe say new vegans or people that feel isolated? They don't have like any connections or anybody around them who's vegan. What do we say? Like a lot of times people will keep to themselves and they won't talk about veganism because it's only themselves, and they feel kind of like there's three people in the house and I'm the only vegan and I have no support, and they're all bashing me and whatever. They're giving me all these excuses and things. So what do you do in these cases?
Well, right now I don't have those problems anymore because I've been vegan for quite a long time. But when I started out as a vegan and I came back to South Africa, I was seen as this alien. And what worked for me was kind of, sticking to myself, but also going out to places and speaking to people. I'm very much a people's person, but I wasn't always received with open arms. People were always, some people were like, "What is this? What are you trying to tell us? Like, you don't eat meat?" We always joke about that one movie where the aunt goes, "He don't eat no meat," and to us, it was like that. People were like, "She doesn't eat meat. What's going on with her?" And then I was asking me, "Aren't you hungry?" And so I would say people should definitely, if you're a new vegan or you're looking into going vegan, join meetup groups. There are plenty. There are so many. And it snowballs. So once you get to know a few vegans and you hang out with them every weekend or something like that, you start getting invited to a whole bunch of other things. And before you know it, you're friends with vegans in other countries. I know new vegans or vegans that were, newly vegan, who are now living in Thailand. And some have moved to England because of the raw movement everywhere, and they want to be amongst that vibe, that energy where they gel. And some of them have even come back and kind of implemented things here, like restaurants have popped up. We've got yoga places popped up. Look, not every vegan is a yogi or is on a level of they want to go raw or whatever, but that's okay as long as they're vegan and they're moving along with the times and educating themselves on health. So I would say they definitely need to reach out to other vegans close to them and make a trip of it. Go on a camping thing or go and visit a restaurant and meet new people there. And at the same time, practice compassion with people that don't understand. And that's sometimes a really nice way to win them over to veganism, because if they see, oh, their life has changed and they're more gentle and they're different, their energy is different. You're attracting more vegans, and by that you're creating a wave. And before you know it, your neighbor's vegan. So don't be a recluse. Don't lock yourself in your house. It's very difficult to say this because that's what I did for a few months and whatever. But include other people. If they ask you questions, don't become defensive, because I know as new vegans you can become defensive because you're so passionate about the animal, kingdom and how the whole vegan movement is so passionate together, and it creates this whole, well, you know what? If you don't understand, like, when will you understand? So speak to people. We have something, everywhere else it's called a barbecue. We call it a braai. So at braai is the same thing as a barbecue. And I never excluded myself from any braais or barbecues. I used to go and take fresh corn on the cob and take huge mushrooms and, kind of make skewers with all sorts of veggies on them, and then make an incredible salad or dessert and just invite myself to these places and say, "Hey, I made this for you." And they're like, "Wow, this is so tasty. Give us the recipe." And like now those people are following me and asking me constantly, "What can I make with this? Do you have an idea for that?" I know when I came back from the UK, the people who started mocking me, kind of joking and saying, "Oh, we've got a lawnmower, you can go and get your lunch there." That's kind of like joking with me. They are now vegetarian, asking me questions about veganism. So that's just the thing. Don't exclude yourself from things because you're now a new vegan and your life has changed. Be yourself, but be better and love people and show that you have something to give in terms of your
get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Yes, because you can get in a comfort zone. It's so easy. It's so easy to just sit there and go, "Okay, now I'm vegan. I'll just eat all the great vegan food and kind of look after myself." And then before you know it, everyone else has moved on and you're like, "Why?" But it's don't do it to yourself. Just be yourself and get out there and interact.
Yeah, exactly. What is your view on things like condiments, like ketchups and salts and oils and things? What are your views on that? On those types of foods? or
Well,
or even like fermented foods and things like that. What is your take on that?
well, fermented foods, obviously like sauerkraut and things like that. I love sauerkraut. It's always been a favorite of mine. So I'm quite big on, coconut yogurt and obviously raw coconut yogurt and sauerkraut. I'm all for that because at the end of the time, it makes me feel good. It doesn't make me bloated or anything. Anything that makes my body feel horrible, if it's called raw, I don't eat it at all. But in terms of processed foods like ketchup and mayonnaise and all those things, I was so addicted to mayonnaise. Like, if someone had to give me mayonnaise today and say to me, right, here's a salad and here's a pot of mayonnaise, I'll
No,
have
they
the
have
pot of mayonnaise.
veggies.
Yes. So that was really one of my vices, my mayonnaise. One can always make these things if you just know how. You don't want to consume something that's full of sugar because on a cellular level, you're damaging your body. You might not see it today, but later, those cells, I always say those cells are evolving into what you ate yesterday. and that's going to become your children if you're going to have children. So you're basically building this child or this person from your cells of what you ate yesterday. And that includes, the sugars and the salts and the vinegars, which if people knew what vinegar really does to you, they wouldn't take it. So I would say rather look for recipes, raw recipes, and make your own. They are so delicious. You can make like a ketchup salad, a ketchup sauce with dates, sun-dried tomatoes, and just a tiny pinch of sea salt. It's delicious. So there's so many ways to kind of, instead of eating, that's why I would say processed to plant-based. You can take any processed food and make it a plant-based meal, a raw plant-based meal, if you just know how. Experiment in the kitchen.
Right. And usually, this is the all famous question. Usually, like on a daily basis, what is your meal regimen?
What is mine?
What is your meal regimen?
Okay. In the mornings when I wake up, I love to drink either ginger water or lemon water. I'll take about a liter upon waking up. And then I wait until about 10 or 11. And then I have a massive salad or a big smoothie of bananas and whatever other fruits if I feel like it. If I'm not having a fruit meal, that's when I'm raw. So, and then in the afternoon, I don't eat. If I'm hungry, then I have some fruits. But that's when I'm raw. If I'm not raw, then it's very sporadic. Like eating is like all over the show, which has always been my problem since I was a kid. I would say, oh, I'm hungry. Let me eat this massive loaf of bread or something, with a whole bunch of, tomatoes and salad and whatever on it, with mayonnaise, obviously. And then later I feel so guilty that I don't eat, or then I continue eating, and it's just this constant snowballing. That's why eating raw helps me to get the enough calories and enough nutrients that I don't feel like addicted to it and like I want to binge, if that makes sense. It just feels satisfying. I just feel very satisfied. And if I do feel, okay, I'm stressed, let me eat something. Because I must preface this by saying vegans are normal, everyday human beings. Just because we're vegan doesn't mean now we're superhuman. Our problems haven't gone away. If you don't fully engage in changing the issues you're experiencing, they won't change by themselves just because you've gone vegan. That doesn't happen. If you go raw, your life will change completely. Like your body will. I remember going raw in 2016. I was raw for about 6 months. My entire life changed. It was the most amazing experience because my body changed, my health changed, my mind changed, my eye color changed, my hair went bigger, and money just kept flowing to me out of different places. Everything just opened up for me. It was so strange. And then I fell at a trail run, and then I just went downhill again, feeling sorry for myself. So yes.
Why do you think you had that kind of dwindling down to cook food?
You know, I was not in a good space after falling because I started feeling the pain was really bad because I dislocated my knee. Every time I got off the bed, my knee had to reposition, the kneecap repositioned itself, and the pain was, I've never felt anything so bad. It was really sore. And after that, during that time of healing, I was trying to heal myself naturally with like banana peels on my knee, and the scar's still there, and it really helped. It really did help. But I felt so sorry for myself. I was like, I'm alone. No one's here to take care of me, And then there's this meme that goes around on Facebook saying, this woman goes, I want to hug, I want to love you. And then she stops and she goes, oh, but I'm independent. So it's kind of a personal thing for me where I've always been independent, but I felt sorry for myself, so I wanted someone to take care of me. And then I found comfort in terms of vegan food. Yeah. Like grabbing anything, because now I'm in pain and I'm feeling sorry for myself, where instead I should have gone back to where I was and never stopped. So
I think a lot of it also has to do with just the environment that we're living in, and how so many people are doing the total opposite. And when we're eating like raw vegan or fruit or whatever, it's like it's so different compared to what others are eating. It's not just vegan; it's other total other spectrum.
yeah.
And so I feel that when it comes to me, I feel a lot of times also could be financial issues that people have. And I always tell people, whatever you can do to lower your and I talk about this in my book, the how to create the perfect vegan life, because really I found that a lot of vegans not only struggle with trying to find a balance between doing some kind of work they love, but also spreading the vegan message at the same time. And a lot of people aren't doing that. They're going to their daily day job, and they think that they're not doing anything because they're like wasting their time on something that is not really helping the animals or the earth or themselves, and may even exploit animals at the same, or exploit each other, the environment or whatever, at the same time. And so I find sometimes that explaining these things to people, um, that grow, like, for example, like one way is growing your own food, and I think that's a really empowering thing to do. What do you think about growing our own food?
No, definitely. I used to grow my own food for a long time, and unfortunately, I had a bit of a problem here with water, um, flooding in the back garden. So I had to move my vegetable patch, the new place, and now it's winter, so I have to start all over again. But I definitely think that if people want full nutrients from the ground and organic, they need to grow their own food, because it not only is it such a reward. It's such a rewarding feeling growing your own food and seeing, here it's growing and you can pick it and it's like, oh my goodness, this was my own work. And when you eat it, it's like so full of flavor, and it's rich and full of water. People will actually get the nutrients that they need from the actual ground, and there's no spraying on it. It's all natural. You can do your own wormery and all of that. I am pro veggie gardening, definitely. I think everybody should do it, even in your house. I mean, if people don't have a patch of grass to turn into a vegetable garden, or even a little fruit garden, they can have pot plants in the house and grow there and stuff. And the thing is, like, people love making excuses. Unfortunately, I think all of us make excuses for things. We try and find an easy way out, but we've got no excuse. There's information everywhere on the internet on how to do something. If you have a bit of spare money, just grab a broken pot plant, put some soil in from the garden or from somewhere that you can get, and get some seeds or a tomato that you've just eaten. Grab some of the seeds and throw it in the pot plant. Within a few weeks, you'll have tomatoes starting to grow. It's like the easiest thing.
Right.
Don't chuck out the leftover seeds and things into the dustbin. Throw it in the garden. That will grow. I mean, I've got pumpkins that were growing because I just threw it out the window. And the next next season I was like, what's this? Like outside my kitchen window.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the easiest thing to do. We just need to drop excuses.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm off my 6 cents into that. I remember two things. First of all, um, for people that don't really know, I discuss a lot in my videos and my books, veganic, and there's a lot of different names, different names for this particular gardening, but it's basically a permaculture system where it's veganic, or sometimes they call it veganic or veganic. And basically, because people don't understand that when they're buying from supermarkets, they're still supporting, unfortunately, the torture and killing of animals, even if they're buying produce, because we're using manure, and usually from industrial factory farming. So we're using manure, blood meal, bone meal, feather meal, all these
Yeah,
things, which are totally not necessary. There's people out there, literally thousands of people out there, and some even on interviews on YouTube that have claimed that organic growing actually produces more yield than using animal manure or things like that. And I have tested it out, and I have actually found, because I was living in Belize for a few months, and I found that living in the tropics, the best method is growing things the organic vegan way, which is veganic, and you can use human manure, and you can use also human urine, of course, from vegans, because you don't want all that toxins on your plants. So I remember having a neem tree, and I got this neem tree from this beautiful older lady that was selling in the market, this small little neem tree. And I'm like, I was talking to her, and she was like, "Yeah, this tree is going to give you all this vitality." And she was so enthusiastic about telling me what this little neem tree was going to give me, all these magical, benefits and things like that. And then I'm like, yeah, like I was so excited, like this neem tree, like, woo, I'm getting my, this plant, and I'm going to plant it, because I heard something about it can deter mosquitoes or something, and other health benefits, so forth. And then I realized, years later, that more about the neem tree. But anyways, when I planted the neem tree, I was so excited. I planted it in a certain area, and because when it's small, you should be planting it, more in the shade, kind of. When it gets bigger, then you replant it into more of the sun. And so, anyways, I planted it. I was taking care of this plant, besides the other, thousands of plants that we had growing there. And eventually, one day, the birds virtually destroyed it, the plant.
Oh,
And I was like so devastated, like, oh my goodness, like, look at this, what happened to my plant? And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this urine method. I'm going to use
yeah,
this urine method. I used my urine. I peed it, literally peed into a bottle, and then I eventually just every so often just poured it on to the plant. That's
yeah.
basically what I did. And you can literally see after a few weeks, you can literally see plant coming alive. The plant was literally
Wow,
coming, being dead to coming alive.
that's
And not only
interesting.
that, we were using also some compost and things like that. But the urine was really a game changer. Like it was a miracle. And especially because I was eating virtually all whole food,
Yeah,
mostly fruit. It was like pure crystal clear urine that I was pouring on
wow.
there. Plus, of course, the wonderful rain that's there and all the magic that goes on in the tropics. Because we were living
Yeah,
literally like right next to the mountain in the heart of the jungle, and there you have it. It was like magic. It just kind of like grew, and all the leaves and everything, and it's like, wow,
wow.
this is amazing. And I've seen this work with other plants as well, not just this neem tree. I've seen it work with baby banana plants. I've seen it work with um, uh, passion fruit vines and trees. I've seen it happen, work with so many different things, so many different plants, and it's incredible what
That's
what our urine and excrement can do for the plants. And
mm,
compost is also very, very important, and plant compost, that is. So
yeah.
those are the things. And I just want to add in what you said about throwing your you're throwing your scraps out the window or something.
Yeah.
Well, this is the truth actually. I've done gardening for a very long time. I don't claim to be an expert, of course, though, but because I'm always learning and things like that. But I've noticed over the years, I don't know if it's just the environment that I was living in Belize, but I've noticed that when people actually plant, like
Mm,
the conventional way where they're just putting the seed into the ground and they're doing all the work that needs to be done, putting the soil and da 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 da.
yeah.
But when people do that, I find that especially if they're not doing it correctly, they're not putting like the wood chips and they're not doing it certain, like the way it's supposed to be done and certain, height and depth into the ground and certain nutrients putting back into the soil, like, like I mentioned, the compost and the human manure and the urine and all that stuff. Then you're going to get very, especially if it's poor soil, you're not going to get, much growing. And so I found that we had this little area right beside our kind of like our kitchen where we just had a little bit of compost, but not much because we didn't want the flies to go there. But we just threw basically our seeds there. So we threw like avocado pits. Just basically we just
Yeah.
threw it. Just like,
Yeah.
when birds poop down the seeds. And we
Yes.
found that that was actually the best recipe for growing starter plants. Just throwing our seeds, you
Yeah.
know, and that is like what nature is. Nature does not
Yes.
like dictate you to like plant like 6 inches down and do this and do that and put this and put that. It's like, no, just throw it like the birds do, you know.
Yes. It
Um,
makes sense to me. I have a compost hole as well, and I've had various things grow out of there that I've eaten.
well, yeah. Do you have any other growing planting stories?
Yes. I have in my back garden at the moment a jungle of rockets, arugula. And
Uh,
the only thing I did was once, 3 years ago, I threw some seeds in the corner where the compost hole is. I just threw the seeds there. Oh, not the seeds, rather. It was arugula that I had bought and eaten, but it came with some seeds and flowers. And I had no clue about these things, so I just threw it in, with the rest of the scraps and stuff. And 3 years later, my garden is full of yellow flowers and bees. So people should definitely, bees love the yellow flowers, like the dandelions. My garden is full of dandelions. And I never pull them. I rather eat the leaves and I let them just go crazy in the garden for the bees. So once I realized that the bees love the arugula, I now harvest the seeds if there's like bushes of them. And I just give them to other people. And wherever I go, I just throw the seeds everywhere. And there are so many yellow flowers popping up everywhere. And it's all through the year, even in winter.
uh-huh. I see. What are your views? I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this because there are some vegans and even non-vegans that are promoting honey and bee products. What are your views on those?
Well, I must say that I was one of those vegans who thought it was okay to have honey because it's just the spit, right? And pollen, right? So that's all they're just making something out of their mouths and carrying on and whatever. Until I did research and realized what actually happens with the honey that's taken, what happens when the honey is taken. And people definitely need to research this. That honey is not meant for humans. Yes, if you like for me, what I always say is if I'm stuck in a forest somewhere and I've got no food and there's no dandelions and there's nothing edible, but I come to a beehive and it's a magic beehive, I'll eat it. But it's not a case of survival like that. I'm living in a city. There's honey available 24/7 in the shopping centres. So we're basically robbing the bees. That honey is meant for them for the winter. And they work so hard. You know, why I researched it was I watched some bees, how hard they work. I mean, I used to wake up at 5 in the morning and sit outside and, do breathing and watch the sunrise and all of that. And I saw the bees at 5 o'clock in the morning already with their little back legs saddled up full of pollen. Like they looked like little, cowboys on horses going for it. And that just made me realize they work so hard. They literally work so hard early in the morning and they have to fly with those heavy saddlebags back to where they are, honey, and come back the next day. So, you hear people saying things like, oh, but they work a bit, or this is what they do, and things like that. But what people need to grasp is, just because this is what they do, doesn't mean that it's for us. It's not meant for us. Each species thing for themselves to survive. It's like a cat. If you go and shave a cat's hair, that cat's going to live a completely different life. Like I'm just pointing to my cat now. She's sleeping here next to me. If I had to shave her hair, her whole system will start working in a different way. The sweating, the cooling down, all of that will work differently. Her hunting skills have changed because she's domesticated. Imagine if you had to take bees and constantly put them under pressure to keep working harder and harder. The bees they're not going to survive that slavery. It's basically slavery. We're putting them to slave work because you tell him, go in 5 o'clock in the morning, go and fill up your saddlebags, come back, put it in, go back tomorrow. But don't worry, at the end of the month, I'm going to take it so you can work harder. So it's not a fair system. So it's not for us. That's my view. And if people want to delve deeper into it, they definitely need to go to the Vegan Society's page and even Peter. Peter's got a really, really great article on why honey is not vegan. I mean, I don't have all the facts in front of me now, but I'm not quick on facts. I'm not one of those that pull the facts out of my brain. But what I do speak from is experience and from the heart and what I see in nature. If people stay close to nature, they will not want to have honey. They will see and experience and notice things of how each species works for themselves, not for us. If it was meant for us, they would be able to communicate and say, come and take my honey. I posted something the other day on my Facebook and it was a guy sitting like this on the bed and it said, when she calls you honey instead of agave. And it was hysterical. So one of my friends posted that, but what if the bee gives you consent to take the honey? And I found it funny because I know him. He's been a friend of mine all my life and he was just joking. So another friend of mine who's vegan said, but how is the bee going to tell you to take it? He can't speak your language. It's that kind of thing. So I think if people were more self-aware and close to nature and more aware of how every species works in their own cycle. I'm not talking about the cycle of life, in their own cycle, and they're more aware of everything around them. They wouldn't eat honey. They would not.
Yeah, but a lot of people they always have these theoretical questions like that the desert island, what happens if you're stranded on desert? It's like, first of all, a lot of people are living in cities and they're buying their food from supermarkets.
Yeah.
It's funny how
Yeah.
they justify, like, oh, what happens if you're like living in nature and you have no food to eat? Then what is, like, first of all, honey is like very, very little. It's basically empty calories, so there's no
Yes.
nutrients
That's
in honey. And I find that, like, a lot of people justify they just because basically our culture sees other animals as property. And I also watched a few videos, including one that John Cole put out with a backyard farmer. And this farmer, let me tell you, well, I shouldn't say, well, farmer, I should say, but um, she basically was describing how she collects her honey, her backyard honey. And this is the supposedly the idyllic situation where nothing goes wrong and everything is beautiful. It's like Garden of Eden with all the bees around, right?
yeah.
So she basically mentions, and I have this video about that, so you can check that out on my YouTube channel. So basically, she says that she leaves most of the honey for the bees, and she takes just a little bit for herself, whatever that little bit is. Who knows? It might be a lot. So she's, first of all, still stealing. Okay, but according to
Yeah.
her own words, she mentions that she does unfortunately kill some bees in the process of collecting the honey. So this is a person that harvests honey saying this,
Yeah.
saying that she kills bees in the process, and she still does it.
There's
And
no connection
I
there.
was, sorry.
I say there's no connection to what she's saying. She's not making the connection to the line.
Well, the way of course, the way I see it is that we have no right to be using or stealing or killing from animals and
Yeah.
other animals, and because we're animals too, and of course for survival that's a different thing, but we're not in survival mode, definitely not in our modern society. I mean, you take me here, we have like supermarkets everywhere. It's like no excuse, unless
Yeah.
you're struggling and you're unable. Even when I was struggling and I was unable to really pay for food, I was still able to eat vegan. So it's not like,
Yeah.
people are so poor where, I mean, there's food banks and there's so many things that give people plant foods. It's incredible what you just have to speak. You just have to open your mouth and tell them like what you want, what kind of foods you need, and they will provide it because the city, the governments, they know that there's people that are struggling. I mean, look, I was living in Toronto for most of my life, and in Toronto, there was a statistic that I've heard. I don't know if this is really true or not, but half of the population is below poverty. This is Toronto. Half the population is below poverty. Like what the hell? Like, but then
Oh,
again, people are living beyond their means. So poverty line could be, for me, for example, poverty line. I could live definitely way below poverty line and still survive, like perfectly.
yes.
So people are living way beyond their means. So this is
I
like,
agree. I agree with that because I love the way Marcus Rothkranz puts it. He always says, if
yeah,
you're hungry, you can just go outside and eat what nature's got in your back garden. Most people go, oh, because I don't have this huge plate of all these things, I'm going to starve. But if let's say, for instance, you can't afford food for the day, but tomorrow you might eat, for the next day you might be able to buy food and whatever. Just go outside and pick some dandelion leaves and make a salad from that, or just use that with, blend that with the banana. That's like a wholesome meal right there. You've got magnesium, you've
right.
got calcium, you've got protein, vitamin D, whatever. And, it's people just, I think we're so brainwashed to believe that we have to eat so
Exactly.
much and we've got to over calorie it and we've got to over protein it, and people are just overdoing everything.
I think a lot too has to do with the fact that a lot of foods, and including our bodies, are so toxic that
Yes.
we need to eat more in order to get the right amount of all the nutrients that we need from the foods. And I think in nature, if we were really like, if you think about foraging in nature in the tropics where supposedly we came from, if we think about that and we think about, okay, so we're gonna like forage and we're gonna walk along and find some trees, some fruit trees or whatever to gobble up all, the delicious edible fruit. I think
Yeah.
sometimes you got to think like, what happens if there is no trees for so many? Like, I think in our world we're so like fortunate because we have all this availability of food around us that maybe we are putting too much food into our bodies. Maybe we are thinking like, where's our next meal going to come to, or how we're going to survive, or this or that. And I know of course, there are people out there that are malnourished and they're not getting enough food.
Yes.
Definitely, that's true. But I think a lot of times in our modern society, uh, especially if we're living like where, of course, there's no like food deserts and so forth. Um, I
Mm.
think it. I think people are eating too much sometimes in certain cases. Like, what
Mm.
do you think about that? Like, I think it should be we should be getting the quality nutrients and not the amount of food, right?
Yes. Definitely. For me, I can speak from experience where if I eat vegan junk food, which is basically dead food and dead nutrients, there's nothing nourishing in it, like processed meats and processed vegan cheeses and all sorts of breads and stuff. There's no nutrients in it. There's no nourishment. So when I eat that stuff, I have to eat a lot of it to feel satisfied. And within an hour or two, I still want more because I don't feel satisfied. But when I eat raw, I just have a bowl of a bowl of salad with, let's say, one tomato, one pepper, one zucchini, and a bunch of leaves and stuff like that with an avocado dressing. By the time I finish with that, I'm so satisfied. I can go the entire day without eating, and it's just basic. It's like we overcomplicate stuff. Our way of eating is so complicated now in the world. I always laugh when I watch videos or read something where they go, in America, people are, or in America, this is happening. It's not an American problem. It's a world problem. Everybody is affected right now. And the other day I was invited to a kind of a dialogue event with our South African president. And I had an opportunity to say something, about veganism, but I was too scared because before the time they were talking about mining in South Africa. They were talking about increasing land space for beef farming, and all of the information that we were talking about for the future projects in South Africa overwhelmed me so much that I didn't know which angle to bring the veganism in. And I was just like, this is so sad because South Africa, I can't speak for the other countries, but I assume that they are on par with where we're at with food and stuff. But we've got so much land and a variety of fruits that if they had to focus just on that, no one would suffer in poverty. No one would suffer from malnourishment. Nobody. If I walk in where I live, down the street, there are 4 fruit trees, 5 actually, mulberries, nectarines, and some others. And half the time people don't even know what they are. And to me, it's so sad because their forefathers grew up with these trees. Now I'm saying to them, oh, he says, like the other day, one guy said, can you buy me some bread? I said, dude, you're sitting right next to a fruit tree, dangling in your face. Oh, is this fruit? I was like, what? I couldn't believe my ears. And it's just, they now believe that they still believe, should I say, I think that, it's been a long time, that if there's no meat on your plate, then you're going to suffer. And just kind of getting it into their minds that the nourishment comes from the ground. Speak to your grandparents or the ones, your aunts and your uncles before that or whatever, about what they ate, and you'll know where the problems have come from. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if you know much about South Africa and apartheid time and all of that, but a lot of information was taken or withheld from the African people in South Africa. So they were kind of, they were kind of dumbed down with information. And now that things have changed in South Africa, they're becoming more aware of these things. And they're exposed to a lot of truth, which is really great. But now the vegan side of things needs to come in. And it's just I just feel like it's such a daunting task at the moment, exposing them to the truth. So.
Excellent. That's actually pretty funny that you talk about this, people wanting like bread and there's like a fruit tree growing in their yard or something. Because when I was in Belize, it was so like odd to see how this tropical, it's basically in Central America, right next to Mexico. And basically, they have the opportunity to grow as much fruit and vegetables as possible. And here they are, like, not only at home, but here they are going out to restaurants and ordering the same thing day in and day out, which is rice and chicken.
Oh, gosh. Oh,
and that is they're like I don't know, cultural meal, or it's like you got the opportunity to grow all you can, and they don't. And it's sad to see that a lot of the especially in where I was in Belize, a lot of the, well, whatever fruit that they do grow, a lot of it is monocultured. And certain areas they have, like for example, in our area where we were living, there was a huge citrus demand. So you see a lot of monocultural citrus. And I just want to talk a little bit about the environment side with you, for people before we actually go, because we've been on here for quite a while. But a little bit about the environment side, basically. But basically, we saw the destruction of like wildlife and wild lands. And my friend was discussing and telling me, because he came there before I did. He bought the land and everything, and he was farming there before I came. So basically, he saw that there was right beside him, there was a huge native forest, and after a few months, he started witnessing the destruction of it, just for putting up, citrus and oranges and things like that. And you could definitely see the devastation, and the animals fleeing from there and trying to go to nearby areas, try and get refuge and all that. And probably some of the younger and older animals that were unable to escape, probably they died in the process of of destroying this, because monoculture, basically they destroy everything on the land. And I've also witnessed burning of the forests, because they do a lot of burning of the forest to get rid of, basically, of the trees, so they can plant whatever they want. Monoculture, so usually one tree or two or three at most plants. And even though those are definitely great, because of the fact that trees, especially fruit trees, are like three-dimensional, like wheat, so animals can make their homes in these trees and things. But I'm definitely not in favor of monoculture, permaculture, where we, grow different things in different areas, just growing like nature does, here and there. Not the same plant right next to each other and not in rows either. So, I mean, that's the easiest thing probably to have rows and do this and that, but it's definitely not the most sustainable. So, what would your words be on the environment side of animal agriculture, of plant agriculture, like these monocultures, and to people that are not yet vegan?
Well, there was just an article that came out in the Guardian. I think it was on the 31st of May. So that was a couple of days ago, where they were saying the percentage of land that gets used and the ratio of calories that it provides is so ridiculous that it's not even worth it's not worth it at all. So this is something actually funny that you actually mentioning this now, because I'll be submitting a proposal to our president very soon before he goes to the G7 summit in Canada, which is I think on the 8th of June. And we're going to be covering the agricultural side of it, myself and the South African Vegan Society, because we're kind of working together with writers and all of that, so we can make it as professional as possible with facts, because our president is quite fact-based and science-backed and whatever. So we're basically going into that just to explain to him how the effects of animal agriculture affects everything else around it. Not just, it's kind of a hectic topic for me, because before, when I started veganism, I had no idea what was going on. It was all about the animals, Then it was about my health. Now I'm being exposed to the actual environment thing, global warming and all of that. Then you've got your guys who are saying global warming is fake, and but the effects are everywhere around us with animal agriculture and how it affects it. So I think this is definitely a topic that I would love to revisit with you once I've done my my research and in-depth information for the president. Then I can actually discuss it with you on a bigger, on a high level in terms of facts. Because right now I'm delving into it as a newbie, to put it that way.
Excellent. There's one question that we have from Shashin Shah. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. What are your opinions about Indian vegetarian, including milk? She probably means like ghee and milk and yogurts and stuff like that. What is your opinion on that? I got so much to say, so I want to add in afterwards. But what is your opinion on that?
Okay. To me, it's all traditional. I run an Airbnb from my home, and I've got a lot of people coming from India and Pakistan and all of that. I've just had a gentleman come from Pakistan. He left this morning. And the discussion I have with all of them, it all boils down to traditional food and traditional, the traditions just carried over to the next generation on and on, without actually thinking about how it's affecting the animals. So for me, I mean, speaking to someone who has come from that background, and with my background and my beliefs and all of that and how I understand veganism, I would definitely say that whoever is asking the question, and anybody else out there who's listening on this, if you are asking this question, then subconsciously you are thinking about how wrong it is, because it's not your mother, it's not your milk. I know it's such a cliche, everybody keeps saying that. But if you go back to the traditions and all of that, where did it start? Why did it start? And someone once told me that a lot of it comes from their religion. And if you go back into that, why did it start? So I would say definitely do your research on that. But my view on it, it's so unnecessary. There's the Pakistan guy who was here said to me, but that cow doesn't allow me to take the milk. She will kick me. But she allows the farmer to take the milk. So I said to him, the reason why she allows him is because he's conditioned her to allow him. She had to be forced to allow him. So it's not yours. Don't take it. Nature gives us adequate amounts of calcium and magnesium and everything else in plants. Those are my views on that. What do you have to say?
I got so much to say. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. But I want to tell you a story about this that will hopefully address this question. First of all, there was something else I wanted to mention, which just kind of left my head. But yeah, no, there was the first thing before actually we are indoctrinated with religion. It's it's that we're just programmed to do and to eat whatever everyone else is eating. And the
Yeah,
first day that we are conceived from our mother's womb, we actually are fed breast milk, which contains whatever the mother is eating. So if the mother is eating animal foods, animal products, even if it's even if it's well, first of all, vegetarianism is basically still seeing animals as property. Still,
yeah,
that's what it is. It's still eating animals, animal products. Um, so going on to back to this, going to the story. Will Tuttle has a friend who is Indian who went back to India to actually investigate this into investigate the all the milk and the ghee and everything and what really goes on behind the closed doors. So as most people that argue about oh well, what about sacred cows and all this, well first of all a lot of them are still buying their animal products or their milk or ghee or whatever they're buying from local supermarkets, which really does not is not anything like the animals that are in these small farms, but nonetheless it's still very bad. So anyways, his friend went to India and he went to several farmers, small farmers that had just a few cows, and he asked them basically a few simple questions. Okay. He said, what uh what happens to the mother cow, or what happens uh what is the process basically of getting the milk or the ghee or the cheese or the yogurt to people? What this question basically, and the farmers were pretty ashamed, putting their head down. They were pretty ashamed to answer the question because they know exactly what goes on, and what goes on is it's cruelty. It's unethical. So basically, it's the same process like any other factory farming, any other situation in the around the world. So basically, what happens is when the production of milk declines, the mother is usually there's either two things. There's mother is usually just left to roam around. So as you probably know, and some other people probably know, that the animals just roam around and they eat garbage and all sorts of things. I've seen a documentary where they have like tons of garbage in their stomachs, and they actually did some studies and things where they actually pulled it out, all the garbage from their stomachs. It's not a pretty sight. So they're rummaging around the garbages and things because there's really no food. They just basically like roaming around India. It's crazy. And then the second thing is just like everywhere else, they're sent to slaughter when they're very young because they can live 20 years, 20 25 years or whatever, and they're sent to slaughter just like every other place around the world. And don't
yeah,
forget that he also found out that the same thing happens with the babies. They're killed either right because mothers have to be impregnated in order to give milk. It's the same thing. They take away the baby, and there's several things that happens to the baby. Usually they're killed, um, or they go back into dairy production if they're to replace
yeah.
their mother. And the farmers have a very difficult time explaining and answering this because they're ashamed of what they do. They know what they do, but they still have this somewhat disconnect from their mind and their heart to the harm that they're causing. So if people think that it's, some idyllic situation or the animals are sacred in some way, they're not, because that's what's happening. All these bad practices, evil practices are happening. The only, I would say, to religion, the only probably religion that comes closest to a vegan ethics is Jainism, which is
Yes.
the main principle is ahimsa, which is nonviolence. And of course, there's Buddhism as well too, but a lot of Buddhists still consume animal products.
Same as
Um,
Rastafarians.
Sorry.
Rastafarians.
Oh yes, them too. But they're also justifying still, their
Yeah.
animal consumption and everything. So it's sad, but it
Yeah.
doesn't start. I don't think it starts with religion though. It starts with, because we're indoctrinated first with our food and then
Yeah.
religion. And so it
Yes.
starts, again, it starts the first day that we're conceived and we're drinking our mother's milk full of the suffering and death that
Yeah.
unfortunately the mother is consuming.
Definitely.
Um, Now on a kind of a lighter note, to end off this amazing interview and chat that we're having, Eleni. Um, First of all, don't forget to visit Eleni's website at elenikaiser.com. It'll be posted in the description. So I hope all of you can visit that website, and definitely do subscribe to this YouTube channel because I love for you to check out some of my other videos, definitely, and like this video, share it around with all your friends and family. I just had to say that because I want people to share it because you have a very important message. I have a very important message, and we need to get this message out to the world. And I want to thank you once again, actually, for sharing that vegan message to over 100,000 people. Tell us about your experience on TV.
Well, and it was quite funny because when I was invited, I thought, oh my goodness, I've never done this, and I'm quite nervous because I'm a singer-songwriter, and a lot of the times over the years, I've declined gigs because I'm too scared to get on stage because I literally shake from nerves, and then I just cancel because I'm too scared. But when I got there and I realized this is such an awesome opportunity to speak to people about veganism that they might never have heard anywhere else. These are people, these are Africans who watch this TV show during the day, and nowhere else would they have been exposed to veganism at all. And this show, it's called Daily Teta on SABC One. They actually took the topic and embraced it. They had four of us on there. One was she's a model and she's a new vegan. The other one was a 12-year-old vegan. She's African. Four of her kids were born vegan. Her husband's vegan. There's an African gentleman who's vegan, and then another Caucasian lady who's vegan. And the questions that were asked, people are so interested. It was amazing. After I realized that this is such an opportunity, my entire body just relaxed, and I felt like this is just flowing, and it was just flowing, and it was incredible. And after that, people were messaging me saying, thank you for the tips. Thank you for making it easy for us to understand in South Africa we can be vegan and it's not a white thing, because that's quite confusing when people are thinking veganism is a white person thing. It's not a white person thing. It's a human thing. It's a thing for us that we need to embrace. So yeah, it was the best experience I've had to date.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. And I thank everyone that participated in that show. So, was there any other, have you ever seen or heard of any other like vegans on TV before? Like after that?
No, not after that. I thought that we had one vegan, but I don't think she's fully vegan. I'm not sure. I'm not going to mention her name, but because the restaurant has honey and other things, so she was kind of. I think it was more promotion for her restaurant. But other than that, I'm not very aware of any South African vegans speaking about vegans on TV.
Right. So the last thing before we go, I just well before actually, someone said there's a bad voice sound. So sorry about that. One person said that, but the other people didn't seem to have a problem. Just one thing I wanna discuss, and that is that Indian food or any kind of food can be, veganized, and so there's
Yes,
really no excuse. Everything with the time and energy to really research and to look it up. It's basically just going onto a search engine like Google or DuckDuckGo and checking out like what do I substitute for this? How do I make
yes,
vegan pizza? You just put in vegan pizza.
yes,
How do I make this? How do I make that? You just put vegan in front of it, like vegan ghee or vegan
yeah,
yogurt, vegan
yeah.
whatever. So that's one thing. And thank you for
I've
all the.
actually got on my website a free download with a few tips of substitutions, like substituting milk or substituting ketchup and whatever. And it's a
Excellent.
free download. That there's no obligation for anything. So
Yeah, there's no obligation. Go to your website right now. So, for people that may want to, before we leave, people that may want to know, what was it like when you first went vegan, the health, the spiritual, ethical side of it. What, like, how long ago was that, and what was your feeling when you first transitioned?
when I first transitioned, I think it was information overload, and it was kind of like, I've not been doing this right. Oh my goodness, this is bad. This is bad, and I felt guilty at first, and then I felt, wow, okay, this is awesome, and then I felt, okay, if this is such a big change for the animals, like, what else can I change? And it just opened up my entire life where I felt I can build a new life. I can build something that is clean. I know that sounds really ridiculous, but I felt like I can make a difference, a clean difference. There's no lying, there's no covering, there's no fakeness, there's nothing. And spiritually, I think it only hit me about 4 years later. And this has been a 10-year journey now. So it only hit me 4 years later that this is also a spiritual thing. It's not just an animal thing or a health thing. So it kind of went like tears for me, like animals, health, spiritual, and now it's got to the environmental side, and now spreading it out to everybody who from different sectors, kind of just realizing that it is a process and it is a journey. So, but it does open up your mind and your self-awareness. Most importantly, self-awareness, because once that self-awareness is open, you realize, like, oh my goodness, this is different, that is different. I can change that. I can change the way I react. I can change the way I feel inside my body. And one thing that's really stood out of everything personally is I literally can feel everything happening in my body. If I eat something now that's bad, tomorrow I can feel it in my skin. I can feel it completely. Like the veins are pulsating. I can't explain it. You have to experience it. It's just, it's amazing.
Wow. So after all these years, you feel like veganism would never want to go back, right?
Oh, never. There was a few years ago, probably like 5 years ago, where someone said to me, "Oh, you got dark rings under your eyes," and before I could explain myself, because he was some kind of nutritionist, he was saying to me, "You need to have some milk, and you need to have fish." And I was kind of like doubting myself, like maybe I should have fish. I know I don't need milk because milk, there's calcium in dandelions and whatever that I was consuming, or spinach even, or broccoli. And then I was kind of like, okay, maybe I should have fish. Oh no. And then I met with a friend and he was preparing the fish and it just revolted me. I was kind of like, this is disgusting. I can't do this. It's dead. It's completely dead. There's no nutrients in that. There's nothing. That creature had to die. And I think when the minute that self-awareness kicks in, I was kind of like, what am I doing? I know this stuff. I know this information. Why am I being influenced by someone on the outside who knows absolutely nothing about these types of things? So that's one thing I would say. Anybody that wants to go vegan or is vegan or new vegan or even an old vegan, we learn every day. And you said it in the beginning. We're not gurus. We are learning every day. If you want to know more, educate yourself. Don't let someone speak a hole into your head with old information or even new information or anything. Do the scientific research. Do the complete health research. Read books. Watch documentaries. Speak to people who have been there. It's so important to educate yourself, really.
Wow, that's so much information. Like for new vegans, especially if I was a new vegan, I would be like, wow, research, health, environment, ethics, spiritual, this and that. And it's like, oh, my mind, like. And it's funny because, after being a vegan almost, 10 years, about. There's like so much information and there's overload. Even now, there's still so much information overload, but we need it because there's not enough. There's not enough. We need more books. We need more books. We need more documentaries. We need more websites. We need more podcasts and webinars just like this. We need everything out there because 100,000 people, even though it's good, we need 100 million and a billion and 2 billion and get everybody on the bandwagon. Start growing their food, start eating healthier, plant-based, vegan, and stop, murdering and killing animals and each other. And that's about all the time we have, unfortunately. So thank you so much, Eleni Kaiser, for being with us today. Anything else you want to leave us with before we go?
Yes, I would definitely say start by, if you're a new vegan, start by staying close to nature for your health. Because if you're a vegan for the animals first, great. But then take the next level to your health and move from there. Because if you're not healthy, you cannot spread the vegan message. You become sluggish, you become depressed with junk food, even if you're a vegan. So vegan for the animals, then vegan for your health, and take it from there. That's my number one tip.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And the final message, once again, because I know you love this YouTube channel and I know you love Eleni Kaiser, so visit her website and it'll be posted down in the description. But definitely give this video a thumbs up. Thank you. And don't forget, feedback is also appreciated. So you can definitely email or post down below under the description. And what else? Share this video. Share this video because we want more people to be exposed to veganism and the compassionate and wonderful lifestyle that it has to offer. And subscribe to the YouTube channel because I know you love this channel. And that's about it. And once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Eleni, for being here. And maybe we'll have you on in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.